Thousands of families across the northwest will have their benefits cut from today. The government says that reducing the amount working-age households can claim will encourage people back into work.
But a campaign group in Wirral is among those warning that it could lead to a homelessness crisis this Christmas. Naomi Cornwell has been looking into the story. She's here with more. Naomi.
Yes, nearly 13,000 families across the northwest will be affected by this. The government says the change is aimed at creating a welfare system that gives people an incentive to work instead of trapping families on benefits. Previously, couples and single parents whose children live with them could claim up to £26,000 a year. But from today, that will go down to £20,000. The government says it will ensure households claiming benefits are no better off than the average family in work.
All the evidence is that the best route out of poverty, out of problems with money, is to find a job. And the benefit cap is not just fair on everyone, particularly on people paying taxes so that we can pay out the benefits, but it also encourages people to find work, and that's the best thing for them.
It affects every part of our region, and in Wirral, one campaign group has warned it could lead to a crisis of people facing homelessness this Christmas. 400 families in Wirral will be affected by the reduction in the benefit cap, and John's family is one of them. It's not his real name. He's a single parent to 4 children and doesn't want them to know he's worried they might become homeless.
£70 a week's a lot of money to try and find. I've got to divide that between rent, bills, food, and I understand people are going to say, well, you get enough money, but we just barely get enough as it is. If we can't afford the rent, then the likelihood is we're going to be on the streets.
John says he's trying to apply for a discretionary housing payment from Wirral Council. The Department for Work and Pensions has given over £1 billion to local authorities to fund the payments.
It's not going to be enough. It is just going to be plaster on an open wound. And with 300 of those families in private rented accommodation, it is quite possible that those evictions will start from December, because landlords aren't going to accept tenants who can't pay the full rent.
Wirral Council told us there are sufficient funds to ensure those in need will receive assistance as appropriate, but it warns that some awards will be short-term and others will not cover the full shortfall. John's waiting to hear what help his family will get.
I have to bottle it up when the children aren't about, to sit down and reflect, and sometimes I break down crying because I don't know what's going to happen next.
Naomi Cornwell, BBC North West Tonight in Wirral.
BBC South East Today can reveal that 6,500 households across Kent, Sussex and Surrey are likely to be affected by the new benefits cap, which has been introduced today. It's thought that this area will be particularly hard hit because of the high cost of living. Under the new rules, a couple or single parent who lives with their child will be able to claim just under £385 a week. That's £20,000 a year. For a single person without children, it's just under £260 a week. That's £13,400 a year. And the difference will be taken out of housing benefit or universal credit, leading to fears that social tenants will be priced out of some homes.
Because of the benefit cap changes, it's going to mean we're going to have to change quite substantially who we help and who we house in our properties. So sometimes that's going to mean the most needy aren't going to be able to be supported by housing association properties.
Well, in Sussex, nearly 2,500 households will be affected. Brighton has the most of any of our local authority areas, with 680. And across Kent, the total is more than 2,700. Our political editor, Helen Katz, is in Medway for us now. Why is lowering this cap causing particular concern here in the South East, Helen?
Well, firstly, it's just going to affect more people. When the maximum you could claim was £26,000, 109 households here in Medway, for example, were affected. Under this new cap, that rises to 569. Secondly, it's thought that people in the South East are just going to feel the impact of this more, and that's because the cap is the same for everywhere outside of London, but rents aren't. The government's own figures show that social and affordable rents here in the South East are £20 to £50 more a week than the North East, for example. Now, the government says that you can avoid the cap if you work for 16 hours a week. This is all it says about getting people back into work. And there was some backing for that view here in Rochester earlier.
Being a family that both work and can't get any help at all, I think it's about right, because there is jobs there that people could have, and if you don't want to work for it, then you can only get a certain amount.
If they can't work for whatever reason, and then all of a sudden they're going to claim benefits and the government will say, no, you go out to work, they're going to lose all their benefits, it's just going to be, I couldn't live on 20,000 a year, not with a family anyhow.
Some of them, they just don't want to work, do they? If they can get on benefits, then they will.
Councils here have told us, though, that they're worried that those families who believe they can't go out to work will end up falling behind with their rent, and they won't be able to afford perhaps private housing. That will put more pressure on already strained social housing.
Thanks, Helen. A new cap on the total amount of benefits families can receive has come into force. In London, it's been reduced from £26,000 to £23,000. The government says the policy will encourage people to find work, but campaigners say it will hit single parents the hardest. Here's our political correspondent, Carl Mercer.
It's pizza day at the Brixton Soup Kitchen. Food on offer for those in need, donated by local businesses. This community project started 3 years ago when caps on benefits first came in. They can serve up to 50 people meals here every day.
It was quite daunting because, when it happened before, our numbers rise, and I just feel like our numbers are going to rise again. For a service that has no government funding, we've already been struggling, and it just feels like we're going to be struggling even harder.
From today, the government is lowering the amount people can claim. Before, the maximum in London was £26,000 a year or £500 a week. From today, it's been lowered to a maximum of £23,000 or just over £440 a week. Previously, 8,444 homes in London were affected. That's expected to rise to 19,000 households, or 22% of the national total.
In fact, at Gingerbread, we really encourage single parents into work.
It's a figure campaigners fear may take in more single parents with children in London.
There is divorce. Over half of single parents there are in this country were previously married. Marriages break down, and it's an incredibly cruel thing to hit those people with the youngest children and say that the only way that they can live in London is if they move into work.
But ministers insist the programme is about encouraging more people into work. Since the policy was introduced in 2013, more than 35,000 London households have been affected. Close to 27,000 are no longer claiming, with 11,700 now moved into work.
All the evidence is that the best route out of poverty, out of problems with money, is to find a job. And the benefit cap is not just fair on everyone, particularly on people paying taxes so that we can pay out the benefits, but it also encourages people to find work, and that's the best thing for them.
Current benefit claimants will see changes from today. Those new to the system will see the new cap phased in over the coming weeks. Carl Mercer, BBC London News.
Families could face eviction and be priced out of Oxfordshire as a new benefit cap's rolled out. That's according to some councils who estimate 850 households in the county are set to have the welfare they receive cut. The cap's moving down from £26,000 a year to £20,000 and includes most benefits. Our political reporter Bethan Phillips has been following this story and asked her if the cap's going to apply to everyone who claims benefits.
There are exemptions, but many families who are currently claiming more than £20,000 a year in benefits will see that cut. Some say the cap's unfair. It's certainly going to affect people in Oxfordshire more than elsewhere because living costs are so high here. On the other hand, £20,000 a year is a lot of money. Some people work full time and don't earn as much as that. I've been out in Oxford asking people if they could live on £20,000 a year.
No problem at all. I'm on a pension. I only get £7,000 a year now.
Obviously, you need the cap and that, but I personally think that it's too expensive now. Living's too expensive, and you need more help.
I think that a lot of people that are on not that sort of money waste it.
In reality, Bethan, could people be left homeless by this?
That's certainly the concern from some councils and charities. Oxford City Council has told me this could lead to evictions, or people may have to move to a cheaper area.
I understand why the government is making the change that they are, but I think it's really disappointing. I think it's very disappointing if as a society we are not able to offer support to people who need it when they need it.
And what's the government been saying about this cap?
Well, a cap of £26,000 a year has been in place since April 2013, and the government says there's clear evidence that's working, getting more people into work. And Theresa May was defending the Conservatives' record on welfare at Prime Minister's Questions last week.
We want a system that is fair, and it's a system that is fair both to those who need the benefits, but also fair to those who pay for the benefits through their taxes.
The government also says it will have provided more than £1 billion to councils to help people through these welfare changes by the end of this Parliament.
OK, Bethan Phillips, our political reporter, thanks very much indeed.
The new Ken Loach film, I, Daniel Blake, which was shot in Newcastle, takes an uncompromisingly critical look at the benefits system and how it treats people caught up in it. It's been praised by Labour but criticised by Conservatives. Benefit payments are in the headlines again today as a cap comes into force on the total amount that families can receive. BBC Sunday Politics' David Macmillan went to East Durham to hear first-hand experiences of two people on benefits.
Praise, criticism, even discussion in the House of Commons. Few films influence political debate quite like I, Daniel Blake.
The decision maker is going to be sending you a letter through the post. You're going to have to wait for that, and then you get.
Yeah, my kids have got to start school tomorrow. I've got about 12 quid in my purse.
Do you know what So how closely does Ken Loach's portrayal of benefits match real life? Well, Sarah is a single mum in East Durham who has two children, one of whom has autism.
I actually thought I'd get a bit more sympathy and a bit more help and guidance. But being a young parent, going in with children, they look down on you, they judge you, and it just make you feel so small.
Tracy, who asked not to be on camera, has depression. She says she had to sign on days after having a hysterectomy.
I had to go up to the local office and it was being pushed from one to the other because they didn't have a clue. And all the while walking around doubled over with stitches, and I didn't have time to heal mentally, physically.
Tracy says the depiction of the benefit system in I, Daniel Blake is spot on, but Teesside Conservative Simon Clark told BBC Sunday Politics people should remember that Ken Loach has a political viewpoint.
But he has a very clear agenda. This is not a documentary, it's a polemic. And the government is working hard to get people back into work. We've got 2.8 million more people in work than we had in 2010. You've got 500,000 more disabled people in work than you had just 3 years ago.
CV? You still don't get this, do you, Mr. Blake? This is an agreement between you and the state.
David Macmillan, BBC Look North.
Certainly a sobering film.